Hey everybody, welcome to this Friday's edition of Thinking Out Loud. Woohoo! This is the last one. I'm going to break this down into season 1 because we're taking a break until August after the show. So with me is my guest host Ron Snayberger. Hi Ron.
Hi Arizona. Hi Melanie.
Hey. How are you doing today, Ron? Are you burning
I'm
up
doing
in Florida?
fantastic.
That is awesome. Also, with us for a great discussion is Meloney Hall. Hi, Melanie.
Hey, Arizona and Ron. Good to be here. Yeah, I've had to wait weeks to be on here.
I think we've had you scheduled for like a month already.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Melanie, in case you don't know, she runs Lights Camera at HOA, which is a fabulous, I got one of my initial exposures there. I got 2 of them on your show, which is just awesome. Although I was pretty horrible.
No.
I got to tell you, my modeling career started on Lights Camera HOA.
There you go. I would have liked that. Melanie also is a fabulous social media marketer. Just look at how she pushed this show. It was, worked wonderful. We have a huge thinkable audience. So, Melanie, we're talking about accidental marketers, or sudden marketers was the other word that you used. How would you define that?
Usually they are people who start their own business. They're entrepreneurs, and they develop a product or service, and they launch it. And then they can relax and say, whew, that hard part's over. And then when the brain settles down a little bit, then someone says, well, how are you spreading the word? And they're like,
Yeah.
So, and then they're told that they have to market their product or service, and then they get that deer in the headlights. And they say, I guess I'll hire somebody for that. And they didn't have that at all in their budget, So they always hold marketing as the last thing if they're reminded about it. So they all of a sudden, and they accidentally fall into that role. And it's, it can be horrendous, because then it's like wearing one more hat.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was like my pile of hats that I put on the last show that all fell off. You can only do so much.
Yeah.
So how does the accidental marketer find the time, or do they have to budget in to have someone else do this?
Well, I think it depends how large or small they are. Like if you're by yourself, and you don't have the money for a team, or you don't have the family and the cousins and the aunts helping you out, then you will have to probably sacrifice some sleep to educate yourself. Like, how do I do this? What do I do? Or you switch your money around and you say, well, I'm going to have to hire somebody to get me started. Or you'll have to pay for a course, or you'll have to... It'll cost you somewhere. Either you've got more time than money, or more money than time. You're not going to have a balance of both. But the sudden marketer usually has more time than money.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Once
because
everything is developed.
Yeah, and then they say, I can live off of 3 hours of sleep every day.
For we don't know how long.
Yeah.
I did want to say I have the comment tracker up and running. And hi, Jay. I'm so glad you joined us. So your Udemy course that you offer, is that a good training type course for a newbie? Or the accidental marketer?
Yeah, I geared it toward sudden marketers. And it's the official title of that course. It's like big words, because it's all about SEO as well. Incorporating marketing principles into online marketing. And, there's a big long title, but it's for sudden marketers. And because you a lot of people, when they realize that they have to market, they think back of their childhood and say, oh yeah, I sold cookies and popcorn and lemonade, and I'll just do the things I did then. And maybe the principles, you didn't realize what principles there were, but you need the principles, the foundation. And then when you as you know how to understand the principles and then apply them of how they're utilized today in 2015 and beyond, then you're going to have more success. So the Udemy course is about the principles of marketing and applying them today.
Okay, so is it good? Would you recommend that someone actually take or get a marketing degree, go that far into it?
Entrepreneurs are very short on time, so if they can learn everything they can online, they should. And you're not always going to find the free resources, but whatever you can do, if you're going to learn yourself, do it online, because then you can do it at 2 in the morning. You don't have to like get in your car and go to campus. Get on Hangout on air, the live broadcast, and watch other marketers, and just learn. And when you do this online, it's going to be beneficial to you because it's on your schedule, not on a campus or,
Right.
And your course, Melanie, it's not just an hour course. It's what, 4 hours?
Yeah, it's 4 hours. I have requests to split it up at least into 2 parts. But you know what? It's just like it's just as in depth as if you took a semester at a college course. It really is. And so I personally feel that in order to absorb something very important, you do need to have some time invested in it to understand it. Otherwise, you're just getting an hour of 5-minute videos, and a student, myself, I would feel cheated. I'd say, oh my gosh, this is not even 101, this is like number 2.
Right. Right. Jay says, my best marketing for my business has actually been word of mouth. Within the motorcycle world, if you're good at something and they like you, the word spreads very quickly. And I say that would be true of anything.
Yeah, there has to be a mix of in-person and online today. I was watching a guest that Meloney McDonald had on. His name is Reno, up there in Palm Springs, California, I think it is. And he is transitioning from his current business to being a realtor. And right now, he doesn't do anything online because he is so good at the in-person interaction. And I was listening to and I was watching the HOA, and I was just like, that still works?
Of course it does.
It still does. It still does. You have to be present somewhere.
So what would be the initial tip you would give for the person who goes, oh my gosh, I'm a sudden marketer, what do I do?
Decide right away if you're going to if you can put in the time, or if you can put it in a budget to get someone to help you. Because the thing is, you don't want to launch a product or service and then you don't market for months, because the buzz will be gone. You have to, just like when you spill a bucket of water, it really goes fast. Well, you don't want to get the mop like 2 weeks later. You have to grab it while it's there. Because while the bucket is spilled, you're spreading, the product or service. But if you don't have the buzz, all that good stuff, all that good juice is going to evaporate, and you'll miss some opportunities.
Now, go ahead, Ron.
I think a lot of people, when they start out, especially a one-person business, they find a product and oh, that's as good, you ought to sell it, but they don't really know what they're selling, and they have no idea. Once they get through their friends and relatives, it's like, okay, what do I do now? And they have no idea as to what they're really selling.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times they say, well, I have this product, but what they're selling is a solution to a person's problem.
Yeah.
And they don't realize that.
Yeah, and I think that is called, in the marketing terms, value position. You have, as a marketer, you figure out what your customer or client's going to value from your product or service. Are you saving them time? Are you saving them money? Are you saving them research? What are you doing for them? Like with McDonald's, you would think, now McDonald's does it brilliantly, because they can take a child from toddler all the way to senior. They've got you, because the menu follows the life cycle of an entire life. You've got your Happy Meal, you've got the playground, then when they become teenagers, they got the dollar menu. Teenagers don't make a lot of money, so they can hang out at McDonald's, $1 this, $1 that, and then when you have a family, you're going to McDonald's again, because the kids don't like the hamburgers, they like the playground, and
right.
You want to keep your kids happy, so you're like, no problem, we'll go to McDonald's, just get this meal done. And then as you get older, seniors request McDonald's, not because it's nutritional good, it's because of the memories it's generated. So they've been able to capture from cradle to grave, literally. And it's amazing. A lot of people, one of their, as they're departing life, sometimes it's a McDonald's request, because they just want that memory.
Right.
It is phenomenal, and they are like the epitome of how you. That's not an accident for them.
Right.
And we don't. Yeah. And we need to be able to do that. So the value position of McDonald's is convenience, not nutrition. Convenience.
Well, also when you think about, and we talked a little bit about this in the green room, I got put on the spot in the middle of a class when someone asked me, well, what do you sell? And I was like, well, I sell web design. No, you don't. What do you sell? And it took me a few minutes to finally catch on what he was referring to. But as a web designer, what I actually sell is marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Which just put me in a frenzy, because I'm a tech. I'm not a marketer. I had to do some quick learning. But not until you identify exactly what you're selling can you identify who you're selling to, which I would think is the next important thing. Are you selling to the motorcyclist? Are you selling to everybody like McDonald's does? Or do you have a niche you're selling to the entrepreneurs and the solopreneurs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's pretty amazing that when you begin your marketing and you're beginning your connections, let's say online specifically, you're going to hang out naturally with other marketers and entrepreneurs, but they're not your customers. So
right.
When you step back from that and say, no wonder my business isn't growing, my competitors are not going to buy from me, and I'm not going to buy from them. So that's when the sudden marketer or the accidental marketer has to step back and say, okay, now who do I take this product or service to? Am I trying to sell a milkshake to a diabetic? Is that going to work? Mm-hmm. Probably not. Maybe they can have a little itty-bitty bit, but it's not going to be like the thing. So with the example of the motorcyclists, you have to be where they are. Where are they? What stores do they frequent? What products do they frequent? What's the next trend in that industry?
Well, and I notice this a lot with artists, is that they tend to gather around and it's only artists who are commenting on or following them, or whatever, out in the social media world. And they need to be branching out, away from the artists, because other artists are not going to buy a print from
Yeah.
you.
I mean, it's good to have the camaraderie. Did I say that right?
Yes.
It's good to have. You need the camaraderie. You need that boost of like, oh, someone understands me. You need that, but they are not going to become profitable relationships for you. They're just going to be your cheering squad, or your, like your backup. Like, oh, don't do that, but they won't buy from you.
That's true. Terry Lee Britton is in the house.
Hey,
Yay!
Terry.
He says, I do the same things I did when I had a 15-mile paper route. Approach still works.
Yeah. And you have to as a marketer, you have to create the buzz. You have to create the buzz.
So how does a person create the buzz? I mean, they're passionate about their product, but most people who are online are also introverts, or a good, large amount of them. So
Well, one of the easiest ways is find out how you can have a logo or a sign, so you don't have to start the conversation. It's one thing if you're in line, let's say at a cafe. You're waiting for your order, and you're in line. And if you're wearing a name badge, or you've got some kind of logo scene, somebody's going to say, "What's that mean?" And that's how they're going to generate the conversation, because it's kind of awkward if you're not giving the appearance that you own a business, or you sell a product or service, and you just go up to somebody at the back line and said, "Do you know what I sell? I sell cosmetics. Do you like cosmetics? I see you wear cosmetics. Would you like to?" It's like, no, people don't like that approach. They want
Right.
to. There are some companies out there that, like Mary Kay. Okay, we know what the pink cars look like. You can see them anywhere.
Right.
They also carry a gold handbag. When you see a woman with that big old gold tote bag everywhere she goes, she's got her brochures and stuff in there, her samples. So, and they're trained to do this all the time. And as entrepreneurs, if you have a product or service, then put your logo, get your symbol, like mine is green, gray, and black. So I wear a lot of green when I'm out. And I wear a lot of green, gray, and black. And I'll have, I now have a green tote bag, a green purse, grass green, to match my grass green brand. And people comment like, that is so green. And I'll say, oh, because,
Mm-hmm.
I have it right here. So this stands out.
Oh yeah, that does.
When I'm out and I carry this, I don't wear red, because then it's Christmas time. But yeah, you present an opportunity for people to ask you what that is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's creating a buzz a little bit. I had a magnet on my car that when we would go just grocery shopping, they'd see us getting in and out of the car, and they'd say, "What is that?" Or they'd see the mascot we have is the dog with the Uptick ears. He's got
Mm-hmm.
one up and one down. My mother said, "You shouldn't be stealing pictures off of dog food bags." I said, "No, that's like a real dog." that's my daughter's dog. He's our mascot, but he's such a recognizable,
Mm-hmm.
My own mother said, "Is that her dog?" But it's very recognizable. So get them to talk about what you have.
That's very cool. Terry Lee says, well, that paper route approach was get lots of customers, provide really good service, have clients who like you, so the passion stays alive, and the real knuckle down and get to it and get it done no matter what.
Yeah, and that's a basic marketing principle, to show your potential customers, or the customers you already have, that you'll bend over backwards. Terry reminds me of, we had a paper boy, and his name was Dale, and when when he wasn't delivering, let's say he had a sub delivering the paper, we knew the difference because the paper wasn't on the porch like it should have been. It wasn't on time, and we knew when Dale was out, and we tipped Dale. We tipped him, and he was just and he knew at an early age what it is to, if someone calls and says, "Where's my paper?" Well, he has spares where he can bring you a paper because either he forgot you or it landed on the roof.
Oh, wow.
I know when I used to engrave in the stores, I didn't sell engraving. What they bought from me was that I was able to personalize a message onto a fragrance bottle that people gave away as a gift. So I satisfied the person's gift-giving needs by what I engraved on the bottle for them.
And very customizable.
Yes. Yeah.
So did you?
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to ask Ron if he did any marketing on that.
Yes, I did. When I started out, I sent out letters, and I was fortunate enough the man that I learned how to engrave from, Ken Brown in Texas, I sent him the people that I sent the letters to. He followed up my letter with a letter from him on his own letterhead, building me up, telling the people about I was his student and he recommends me and blah, 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 which made a difference. And I can remember the first 5 letters I sent out. I got one job at Saks Fifth Avenue in the local mall. And I did an event for them. That led to the people who were the vendors there who were representing the fragrance companies saw what I did. They spread the word. And then when Ken did a grand opening of a Nordstrom, he said, "Ron, I want you to come over to the event that I'm doing." He pulled me in. He introduced me to the manager of the fragrance department and said, "This is one of my best students. I think it would be good for you to hire him to do your events." And that started there. Then other Nordstrom stores hired me. I went to the East Coast, down to Miami, and until I couldn't do it anymore because of my back problems. But the word just spread. But you have to make that initial contact.
Yeah.
And then it grows from there.
It does. And back in the day when the first business I had, it was a very techie business. We did captioning services for the hearing impaired at colleges and universities. The court reporting, the live captions that you see. Mm-hmm. And so I could easily reach the colleges and universities because they were the ones that were going to purchase that service and provide it to the students. But I needed to get to the students. So back then, we didn't have the internet. So I would go to the library like 3 days a week, and I would be in the section of disabilities or hearing impairments. And I would stick business cards and pamphlets in those books. And I would get clients call me on behalf of their loved ones and say, "Oh my goodness, I don't know how this happened to be in this book, but can you?" So that's how I reached my, part of, it was just an idea. I said, because when I would go to the library, I would just observe and I'd say, if they're coming in, who's looking at those books in that section? So they would open the book, and I was waiting for the library to ban me. Like they would get I said, "Oh gosh, they're going to get complaints that I'm stuffing books with pamphlets," but I never got in trouble. Those are the days.
That almost reminds me of when you used to go in the parking lot and find leaflets left under your windshield.
Yeah.
So what would be the first place for someone to start talking and creating the buzz?
How I usually start and how I recommend is if whatever city you're in, go to the breakfast of your Chamber of Commerce. Sometimes they're free, and sometimes you pay $20 or $30 to go. And if you go, maybe let's say once a quarter, you are with, and it's early in the morning. Sometimes they start at 6 in the morning for their little business breakfast. But that's where everybody's allowed to, even still these days, everybody's allowed to put their business cards on the table. You're always at like a round table. I know in my city, everybody's always at like a round table of 8, and everybody puts a bunch of business cards on the table, and you're there to talk about your business. And then once people in your area say, oh, even if they can't use your product or service, they know somebody who can.
Mm-hmm.
So start attending those. Have it in your budget if it costs money to at least go once a quarter. Go to as many in-person events as you can, but especially get yourself on Twitter and get yourself a hashtag that mentions, whatever your value position is. If it's online marketing, expertise, if you're selling convenience, whatever it is, because hashtags are searchable online. So even before you have a website, get your hashtag out there.
Now, what happens if your hashtag, somebody else is using it?
Then that's okay, because if it's used enough, you're going to be found along everyone else's who's using it. Like my biggest hashtag is Achieve Beyond. Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of people use those two words, like weight loss, education. I mean, I don't own those two words, but if you hashtag Achieve Beyond in a Twitter search or even on Google, you'll see a lot of them, but I'm going to be there like on page 1 among everybody else's because I use it a lot.
I know down here in Florida, a lot of the communities, they don't have, mail isn't delivered to your house. It's delivered to a mail room in the community. Mm-hmm. And they have a bulletin board. And it's very easy to go into these communities, and they allow you to put up a certain size pamphlet or your business card and photos of what you do. And it's an inexpensive way, just takes your time, but it's a good way to market yourself.
Yeah, and begin right away to know what your logo is going to be. And don't think that it's written in stone either, because your logo, because when you are a small business or an entrepreneur, you can change your logo as often as you want because no one's going to really notice quite yet. I've changed mine like 3 or 4 times. Right. Stick with your, get your colors, think of your logo and your colors, say, am I going to live with this for 20 years? Because that's how you really think ahead and say, okay, what colors will I live with and what will represent what I'm doing for the next 20 years? And, if you need to do color research, like what do colors mean? I picked green because green means growth, and that's what, growing your online business, your online marketing, it's growth. So that's why green is there instead of orange, because I don't know what orange would be for what I'm selling, for what I do. So think about what colors, 3 main colors, will be yours for the next 20 years.
Now, and they're great, like if you have an initial color idea, you can take that color, go online, and there's some great tools online that will show you what colors go with it, so you can pick out design schemes.
Yeah, so I use I use 3 main colors on my online. I have the black, gray, and green, but if I put on graphics, black and gray, it looks kind of like ugh. So I use a certain shade of purple and yellow and green. And purple and yellow are on the color wheel, and they're called complementary colors, and they're, just like red and green are complementary. So I picked purple and yellow because for that reason. Because purple and yellow stand out with each other, among each other. See, there's always a science and a reason why logos are how they are.
There is.
Yeah.
I gotta say, in preparation, I took a whole bunch of notes on Meloney here, but I didn't need them.
That's Whew, recycle those. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay, so Ron, I'm going to ask you, did all this research, what was the number one thing that stood out about Meloney with you? And then I'll tell you mine.
Go Buckeyes. Nobody's going to understand that but Melanie.
Yeah, you know, that's our Ohio State University, and the colors are scarlet and gray. So when I was choosing the gray and the black and the green, my husband said, "Why don't you just go with that scarlet and be Buckeye?" I said, "No, I don't want to get in trouble." Those are branded colors.
I got one question I want to ask you, and before you do anything else, or you can wait till the end. I want you to tell us one thing about Meloney Hall that nobody knows that you haven't told anybody before.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, there are so many, because I do have some secrets. But I bet you not a lot of people know that I was a cyclist, you know, like bicycle, like Tour de France. I did a bunch of those. But I never wanted to win. And it was the craziest thing. He said, "Why don't you want to win?" And I'm like, "Because then it'll be expected of me to win again." So I went in every race I was in, or every marathon or whatever. I never pushed myself to like be first or second, because it's like, okay, what's the likelihood of that? And I didn't want to get the reputation of one-upping myself, because that's dangerous, and I knew I couldn't do it. That's backward thinking, but that's the kind of competitor I was. It's like, I'm satisfied with 2, 3, 4, maybe position 12. You know, I'm all right.
Well, the one cyclist, I did one for diabetes, and I was like 4 or 5 months after having a baby, so it was really silly of me to do it in the first place. Oh. But I was going for last place. I mean, I wanted the booby prize.
Oh, that's so interesting. See, now I don't feel so odd. Oh,
that's interesting, because I used to ride bicycle a lot when I was younger, even in my 20s and 30s, and I used to ride to work a shift, and then ride back home again. And I used to ride about 20, 30 miles a day, and I can't do it. I miss it. When we first moved down here, I was riding 5 to 10 miles a day, and but I miss it, and because I used to love cycling. It was great, but I can relate to just what you said. That makes, you know, I can understand that.
Yeah, it's like, you know, hey, don't worry about me competing. You go right ahead of me. I'm just
tootling along here.
Well, I would push myself, but not to exhaustion. I would do like 50-mile bike-a-thons. And you know, you'd have like 8 hours to do it. So I would say before I went, I'd say, if I can complete it in between 4 to 6 hours, I'm all right. And so I would push, you know, I would keep that. And then the other people who could complete it like in 3 hours, it's like, good for you.
Wow. Okay, so we are almost we're actually over time, which almost always happens. We got a couple more comments. Jay says, "For me, I have to be extremely careful with color, because in the motorcycle world, colors have a totally different meaning than in the normal world." And I guess to me that speaks about how much you have to really understand who your audience that you're marketing to is.
Yeah, and I would say in the motorcyclist world, black has to be color in there somewhere. Yeah. A lot of the logos have black, and you know, they're going to have a splash of yellow or a splash of red or whatever. But yeah, you can't have your major color in fuchsia, I would say. Unless you were a women's club, perhaps.
Yeah. And Terry gave us a great link to colorlovers.com. And we have one more. Dr. Lou Jensen, what a good subject to take on, Arizona. Marketing is one challenging subject, and your presenters are terrific. Great to sit in. I'm impressed at the format, realizing that marketing is absolutely necessary for any business, and it is a constant process of learning. I learn something new about this fishing process every day. I'm a slow learner, so I stay with it constantly. So
And you
thank you.
have to, because of trends, you know?
Well, it's just like that Argentina pothole thing. I should have
Yeah.
caught that. I mean, it was trending everywhere. When I finally went and looked, I went, "Oh my gosh!"
Wasn't it amazing? And that was somebody's crazy idea to say, hey, the city isn't going to listen to us until we like bombard them with tweets. So when they put those little mechanisms inside the potholes, every time somebody hit one, it would send a message like, "Fix me! I just damaged a car." And they're
That was
fixing the
crazy.
roads, yeah. Well, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I hope that we together have inspired others to not be afraid to market and do it as soon as you can, because it's going to morph. So don't wait to say, well, I want to wait time in official business for 6 months. You're going to lose your juice. Think of the bucket spilling and your mop. Don't get the mop so late.
Now, also, I think if you market and you see some success in your marketing, even if it's just a trickle of success, it's going to build your passion.
Oh yeah, because that inspires you. You know, I remember when I changed my logo. I had the first logo, and then I changed it into more like a standard representation, and people said I had so many comments like, "I don't know what that is," and "Is that an upside down mountain?" I'm like, "No, it's like a graph." And they're like, "I see an upside down mountain." So I'm like, "Okay, we're changing that." So I changed it like in a month, because I said, "Okay, if that's what people are seeing," because I have like the graph thing colored in, so they're like, "And the mountain isn't even. What is that? Is that a dam? What is that?" So listen to what the people are saying about whatever you're doing. If you have a slogan that is offensive, or maybe you Google your hashtag and you find that it represents something else negative, get rid of it right away, because you do not want to have any sour connotation to what you're doing. So,
and that's another good point that I'm glad you brought up, because I think it is extremely important every day to search your hashtag, see what's being said on your hashtag, search your name, search your company's name, and see what is being said, so that you can immediately start addressing issues.
And do that in incognito when you do the search. So don't be signed into Google or anything. Be totally signed out, so that because search is geared to what it knows you've looked at. So like if I were logged in to Google like I am right now, and I did a search on the word Arizona, you would pop up because you're my connection and that's your name.
Right.
It wouldn't be, I wouldn't get, I would get you like right on that first page, because Google knows that I'm connected to somebody named Arizona. It knows that I don't look at the Grand Canyon. So he signed out.
Is it good enough, instead of totally signing out, just to open an incognito window in Chrome? Does that work?
You can, but make sure you're just in different browsers. Oh. So like you can check in different browsers. Like Yahoo will be totally different. Bing will be totally different. So check, different search engines are going to carry different things. Like I show up in Google because I heavily use Google Chrome, but not Bing. So I'm really not found on Bing.
Okay, so I have the really difficult question to ask you. If someone decides that they do not have time, what type of marketing budget should they consider to be adequate to handle the marketing needs?
A lot of people first go with Google AdWords, where you can actually say, okay, I only want to spend $50 a month. At least budget $50 a month. And if that's going to be a print product, if that's going to be a online ad product, if that's going to be, I don't know, buying stamps to mail out a postcard, whichever, just say I'm going to start with $50, and then you'll be able to start gathering data to see if it's working. Which data is very important. I wanted to mention that before we close. Don't go by your gut when you're marketing. Don't do that. Your gut's not right.
90% of the time.
Yeah, I mean, you can't, and if you want to get financing or backing, you can't go to an investor or crowdfunding and they say, how do you know this is going to work? Oh, I know it. I feel it. They're going to say, see ya. They want to know your hard stats. They want to say, okay, I see that you've been doing pay-per-click ads. How's that going for you? What are your keywords? What are you doing? Have your stats. And then listen to your gut. Your gut plays a little bit, but it should not be, your only thing.
Right. Well, I think you have to balance it too, because I mean, your passion is led by your gut feeling.
Yeah.
So letting go of that is going to be almost impossible. But you have to watch your stats, and you have to see what's working and what's not working.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like my upside down mountain was not working.
Right. Well, in my first whiz at Today's Visions, I get, 1,000-page views, 2,000-page views every single day.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not converting, which is why I had to do, I'm doing the whole rebranding thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. It's like the word is spreading, but are they absorbing? And we can spread all we want, but if nobody's mopping it up,
exactly.
you got a dry mop.
Exactly. Well, Bill
I do want to mention on Meloney's course, for anybody that's, take a look at it, but she does have a 30-day money-back guarantee, right,
yeah.
Meloney?
And I super slashed the price for summertime, big time. Let me tell you, big time. When it's been out for a month, and I've got 6 great reviews, really great reviews, and so I'm really happy about that. And it started out at $75. Now I lowered the price, and with the 20% additional, it's only $37 for 4 hours of great stuff.
Less than $10 an hour, folks. You can't even hire.
Yeah, and that's why I like Udemy, because their value position is anybody can learn anything. And so my thing that I happen to help with is online marketing. So you can use Udemy to learn a new language, if you want to learn Spanish or Japanese, if you want to learn business, if you want to learn how to do WordPress. Anybody can learn anything, and it's worldwide.
Wow.
I like it.
Well, Terry says you can go by your gut to start, but you have to test points in place so you can find out if you're on the right track. And do not reinvent the wheel. Do what people you admire, like Meloney in Arizona, thank you, Terry, do.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Once we get that little creative bug in us, we say, oh, I'm going to do this too. But if nobody else is doing it, what makes you think that you're another Wilbur and Orville Wright? You're not. You can't be unless you have really a lot of years to invest in experimentation. So things have already been placed out there for you to gather the data and say, okay, this is definitely working. This is a formula, just like algebra. Nobody can go to an algebra class and say, you know what, I know, I want a different way to do that, because they're going to kick you out. Right. Experience, I've been there. I've said that actually. And I don't like algebra, but I thought, why is this process so long?
Bill Graham says, great advice. I missed the first little bit, so I'm going to go back for what I missed. Thanks for the great event. You're welcome, Bill. Yeah. We have such a great audience. I am so happy with the Thinkables. Which is my big hashtag that I use for this show.
Oh yeah, and thinking out loud, it is so marketable.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you're doing things just right. You're using familiar phrases that you know, you're not using phrases that a corporation will like smack you, like, oh, that's my copyright. But you're using familiar phrases, like people will say that actually. I'm just thinking out loud here. You know, it's very, very, very good.
Thank
So
you.
bravo for that.
For people who don't know, Melanie, tell us where they can find you.
You can Google that. You know, my mother, she gave me, my first name is spelled so differently, and that's a good thing because there's like only 3 of us in the United States with, you know, Meloney Hall spelled that way. So like if you type in Meloney Hall, no matter what browser, my name is going to be on that first page. Now whether or not it's going to take you to LinkedIn, I don't do Facebook, by the way, but you're going to see it. And you're either going to see it's the online marketing person, that's me, or I think there's a chemist and a doctor. I'm not the other 2.
But you are definitely on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Are you on Pinterest? Because we haven't connected on Pinterest before.
I just started Pinterest, and I was just putting up the memes I was creating, and the ROI on that, I had like a burst of people coming in. I mean, my stats went up, you know, like 100. I mean, it was really, you know, very marketable difference. But it died down, and I was discovering if I don't participate in Pinterest every day, then I'm not going anywhere with it. So that's like the last thing, because in my business I really don't have, you know, what am I showing?
Right.
A bunch, you know. I'm now with art. Definitely, you should be on print. You know, if you have something physical to show, but there's other ways you can do it. But I'm not into those other ways yet.
Okay, so I guess we really need to wrap it up. We're like way late now.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Oh,
and get on
you.
YouTube. Every artist, everywhere, everybody should have a YouTube account.
Even if it's just a slideshow, and if you need a slideshow, there are a ton of people out there that you could hire to do one real quick.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, video has to be part of your marketing.
Yeah. Now, remember, we're not going to be on for the month of July at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to use that month to finish off my reinventing today's visions, doing the rebranding, and playing with my granddaughter, Maddie, who's like, oh God, we're having so much fun.
Yeah.
But when we come back, August the 7th, Dr. Lou Jensen will be joining us, and I cannot tell you how excited I am to have him on, because both from, I mean, I know he left that remark about how he had to learn about marketing. This man knows how to market. On top of that, he has this great invention that, you know, he invented for artists. So I felt like he was a perfect person to have on Thinking Out Loud. I'm not exactly sure what the topic's going to be, so stay tuned. We'll find out.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
In that case, it's good to be an inventor.
He's going to be on Thinking.
He's going to be on Thinking Out Loud.
Thinking Out Loud. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I eventually may move him into Talking Art, the other show, which if anyone wants to be on Talking Art or this show, Thinking Out Loud, get hold of me. Just send me a message. I am now booking for July, August, September. So, yeah, let's get everything booked. And Melanie, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Arizona. I remember your beginnings on video, and I tell you, you have done such a 180. You know, just total left to right. I mean, and you didn't know it was possible, but you're doing it. You're doing it.
Yeah, it's crazy, and I'm getting a little bit more. I still get butterflies. I still get scared. I still want every hair to be in place, which is never going to happen with me. But, you know, I'm getting a lot more comfortable, and I'm getting a lot better at looking at the camera.
Yeah, and so I want to applaud you. And Ron, you know, he's still a work in progress, and he is almost at the 180. And he'll be at that left to right 180 spin when he has his own show. I think you're working on that, aren't you, Ron?
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're working on that.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I cannot wait to see what he comes up with. And I'm going to continue inviting him in to guest host on Talking Art and on Thinking Out Loud to help him gain the experience.
Mm-hmm. It's a good thing. Great service. You know, we do this as a passion and to give back, to serve. And
Right.
that's all we do. I mean, that's why we do it. That's not all we do, but it's the biggest reason why we do that, because you have to start from here to be the giving.
Well, it's like today's visions. I mean, the new rebranding, to let y'all know, is going to be the community with heart.
Oh, very good.
Because
Very
that's
good.
what I'm doing. You know, the whole reason I started this is because I love the indies.
Mhm.
I haven't read a mainstream book in 4 years. I don't even look at art when I go out to stores. If I want to look at art, I'm going to look online and I'm going to buy from the indies.
Very good.
So that's what today's visions was started because of my love for that. So.
Mm-hmm. And the 3 words, you know, community with heart. People say with heart a lot, and people say community, this or that. So see, there you are again. You've got the 3 string gem words. You've got the 3 gems, and you're very good at that. So take Arizona's lead. Think of those 3 words that people say a lot and put them together.
Thank you. And on that note, I am going to say goodbye. You will see Katrina and me and maybe Ron and definitely Dr. Lou Jensen on August the 7th. And if you want to be involved in any other shows, just get a hold of us. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you very much.